Hello and welcome to something a little bit different. Yesterday, the Supercars released their 2023 championship calendar. So today, we're just going to have a little bit of a look through it and a little bit of a chat about it. So let's get straight into it. Round 1, Newcastle 500 be held for the first time since 2019, as it's been cancelled a few years since COVID. And round 2 is at the Grand Prix, which is going to be different since there's F2 and F3 this year, along with F1. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the racing. We'll talk about that later, though. Round 3 is Barbagallo over in Perth, a little bit earlier in the season than what it's been the past few years, and it's going to not be a night race this year, unlike the past few years. Symmons Plains, a little bit later in the year than what it's been for the past few years. It's going to be in May. It's going to be very, very cold down in Tassie at that time of year. But then they rectify that problem by going up north to Darwin in the middle of the year, Hidden Valley, and then over to Townsville 500 street circuit for 2 warm rounds in the middle of the year. Round 7 will be the only night race of the year at Sydney Motorsport Park or Eastern Creek. Round 8 is probably the biggest surprise for me on the calendar, which is the Bend is staying. Bend in South Australia. Round 9 is the return of the Sandown 500. Hasn't been held since 2019. That's a very good addition to the calendar. Round 10, Bathurst 1000, October 5 to 8. Going to be very, very good. First Bathurst with the Gen 3 cars. Round 11 is the Gold Coast 500. It will remain as the 500 as opposed to going back to a 600. So it will stay as a single car event. And then round 12, finishing off the year at the Adelaide 500 once again, as we will this year, which is going to still have to get used to that. So here is the calendar, and while they've released the calendar, they haven't released or said what the race lengths will be for the super sprint races. This year it was, in the past few years, it's been the 300k races, 110k races, and before COVID they were the 200k or so races. So be interesting to see what they go back to this year. I personally think they should do the 200k races, a bit more interesting, more strategy involved. The races at Newcastle, Townsville, Gold Coast and Adelaide are all 250k races. And then Sandown and Bathurst are enduro races where they are going to have a co-driver and just be single races. For me, this is a poor calendar. There's only 12 rounds, and that is the minimum rounds required for the TV deal. So essentially, they're doing the bare minimum required. For the first year of the new cars, I think that's really poor. You can easily have 15, 16 rounds. Obviously, they're missing from this year's calendar Winton, which has been dropped, which is not good. And obviously, a New Zealand round is missing. Pukekohe will be closed for next year, which is understandable, not going back there. But there's still plenty of circuits in New Zealand that they could be going to instead. However, they've decided not to do that, which isn't great. And as well as that, they can easily do 2 more rounds at Phillip Island and Ipswich. So you can easily have a minimum of 15 For there to only be 12 just isn't great. Then of course there's the Grand Prix. It's been said that it's remaining as the Melbourne 400, which the past few years has been 400k races. However, since F2 and F3 will be joining, supercars have been put down in the pegging for the Grand Prix. They used to be second billing. They will now be fourth billing, which means if there's any delays, there's any red flags, it's going to be supercars that have races shortened or cancelled instead of F2 or F3. So I highly doubt there'll be 400k races, and I have no idea what they will be running. It's not known. They haven't said. But good luck to them. Whatever they run, I don't know what it's going to be. So yeah, this was just a quick little look at the 2023 calendar for those who haven't seen it, and just my thoughts on it. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.